Between the Slicks is live. Yours truly, the Monday Morning Racer, right here on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, wherever you are at. If you're on Facebook watching this, like the page. Make sure to follow along. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. If you're on Twitter, follow. And no matter what, hit the like button, hit the share button, grab a drag racing buddy, and tell them to tune in and watch the most diverse drag racing talk show that there is currently. How diverse, you may ask? Well, we're talking some Canadian drag racing as well as Southeast Gasser Association drag racing tonight. We've got Ian Hill on, promoter up there in the Great North, and later on, George Miller, the Seagas champion for the Southeast Gasser Association. Dale, hello to you. Glad to have you on tonight. Sam, hello to you as well. Thank you for being on. A little bit of drag racing news before we bring Ian on and chat with him. Ron Tobler announced his retirement today, coming a bit as a shock for us that are not close to the Don Schumacher Racing gang and are not close to the Brownsburg, Indiana area. Ron, definitely Hall of Fame career, Hall of Fame crew chief, tuner, innovator, announcing his retirement. With that said, I think that continues to push the narrative that this year, 2021, in professional NHRA nitromethane drag racing, that it may very well be one of the most competitive, if not chaotic years we've seen in a very long time. We've seen the movement of Mike Green. We've seen the movement of an entire team from Don Schumacher Racing to Cruz Petragon Racing. We have seen before that, because of what happened in 2020 with JFR closing the doors for a bit, going on a sabbatical, as it were, through the year. JFR team members going to places like Doug Foley, Foley Lewis Racing, and even the Davis Motorsports. I think the talent is spread out thinner and wider than it ever has been in the Nitro ranks. This year, 2021, is definitely going to be interesting in NHRA drag racing. Well, folks, get ready to ask about Canadian drag racing. Get ready to ask about Southeast Gasser Association drag racing, and along the way, whatever else we might want to chat about tonight. So after this first break, we will bring on Ian Hill, and we will let him explain his role in the Great North, in the great sport of drag racing up there in Canada. This word from FuelInjectorServices.com.
FuelInjectorServices.com. It's essential that your fuel injectors perform at their peak, whether you're in your daily driver or high horsepower race machine, for you to get the most out of your vehicle. At FuelInjectorServices.com, we maintain precision fuel injectors with cleaning and flow testing, as well as providing the sale of genuine brand name injectors. It can all be done at FuelInjectorServices.com, the home of Flowzilla, one of the largest injector test benches in the country. Check out FuelInjectorServices.com. Veteran-owned, racer-tested, aerospace refined.
Ian Hill, man, how is it going tonight?
Well, now that we started here, the feed's been coming in and out. So just want to check it one more time. Lee, can I hear you?
I can hear you, man. Yeah, go ahead, check.
Okay. Perfect. That's fantastic. Anyway.
Awesome. Yeah, man, you never know. Live, things happen. You know what it's like being on the line and next class needs to come up. It's like, where are they at?
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, everything's good. Thanks for having me tonight.
Man, I appreciate you coming on and exposing the fan base a little bit wider in the world of drag racing. Because it's amazing. You know, we think of a border and people are like, oh, everything's different in Canada. No, there are some crazy drag racing fans up there in Canada. And up there, even in your outfit, you've got some heavy hitters in that organization that have come down in the States and done some fabulous things. So, yeah, give me the overall of your promotion and what's going on there, man.
Okay, well, Ian Hill Racing Productions, basically, we're in our 9th year. Took over from a fella, Matthew Tambro, a number of years ago. putting together a small tire shootout, no time, streetcar style event. That kind of morphed into a little bit bigger of the show. At the same time, RPM Magazine was getting their ball rolling with their War in the North, War by the Shore, one in Ontario, Canada, one in Ohio. As that ball was rolling, next thing they started the SmackDown 1. That was in St. Thomas Dragway, Ontario, Canada. At that time, I was racing small tire shootout stuff, doing a little bit of a tour in Ontario, New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio area. And pretty much followed what the RPM Magazine shootouts were doing, the Dad series was doing. All at the same time, the Empire Outlaws and the Buffalo Street Outlaws formed. Those two series out of northwestern New York, I think is what you guys call that area. So like that was going back 5-6 years ago, and things really morphed quickly. RPM Magazine asked me to come in and run our show during their event, and then in SmackDown 2, they wanted to step back a little bit and asked me to run it. We then partnered with another local series that was basically revolving around fast streetcar class racing. So ton of rules, power to weight, everything from super street, easy street, right down in through some indexes and stuff like that. So that kind of morphed into even further as that series went away. We were then asked to pick that series up. And that's where the whole Canada Heads Up streetcar shootout deal came from. We picked that series up with having a pretty regular 4 or 5 super street cars, 5 or 6 easy street cars. At the same time, on the other side of things, we were running an association called Ontario Grudge Wars. And through lots of conversations with people like the Buffalo Street Outlaws and Empire Outlaws, we met up with Steve Agropopoulos out of Quebec, who was doing a similar deal. And we talked lots about it. We decided that it'd be best to kind of jump on that whole organization name and logo, and we tied each other together. We tied our rules together, just trying to make it so that everybody can go from track to track and pretty much know that they could enter those classes. So we had Ontario Grudge Wars, No Time, small tire shootout stuff going on the right side. We had Canada Heads Up, streetcar shootout class racing. On the other side, Quebec had Quebec Grudge Wars. The East Coast Maritime Grudge Wars popped up. They started using the same rules. So we really got the ball rolling, or, really started, I guess, that downhill snowball effect a good 5 years ago, four to 5 years ago. Things have been growing since then. The Canada Heads Up has really taken a lot of our effort. We've gone from 2 or 3 guys getting together, trying to put on a big show, to now I've got a board of directors filled with 5 guys. We've just added a female to our board per se. She runs the bike side of things, Tanya. She came on board in the fall and has really helped us maintain some diversity, and yet keep focus on those different sub-organizations per se. So while we've been doing great things, picking up Canada Heads Up and building Super Street into what should be this year, I'm really hoping for 16, 17 cars this year. Easy Street's looking like we'll be building into 16 to 18 cars. Our Street 275 class, which is very street-looking cars on a 550 index, following suit with what Buffalo Street Outlaws and Empire Outlaws were doing. we hit 24 cars at our last race last fall, so we're hoping for growth there. We brought in a couple of index classes. We started last year with a free tech card program for junior dragsters. I think we peaked out at 40 juniors. It's just been an amazing ride to the point where I think our peak weekend event last year, we sold 574 tech cards. COVID definitely affected us last year. We were down quite a bit in entry numbers. We were down quite a bit in sponsorship dollars, and yet we still were able to. I think it worked out. We handed out $97,000 in cash to our event champions in second and third and fourth place, depending on how far we paid down for the different events. The year before, we were in like the $125,000, $126,000 range, and I know COVID is still with us, and there's a ton of lockdowns on the go right now. We're hoping that the same restrictions or less get put in place come the summertime. And, our budget's just based on the amount of cars that are contacting us saying that they plan on coming out. We're budgeting for about $136,000, $140,000 in payouts this year. So awesome. Just awesomeness.
Wow, man, a lot that you just unloaded there and let us in on with your promotion and what's happening there in Canada. Yes, COVID affected everybody seriously. We could not have foreseen what was going to happen, but to hear the numbers of the tech cards and the money given out, even though with COVID, man, that's not a bad year at all for your group. From my understanding, that the Canadian regulations were far more stricter than what we were experiencing in the States. So kudos to y'all for being able to pull that off.
Yeah, and it's not just the regulations. Like, what a lot of people don't understand is that when you're talking about Canadian drag racing in general, our trends tend to be 5 to 7 years behind you guys. Lights Out is in its 12th year of radial style racing. We're in our 5th, maybe if you want to extend it to the early days where there was a couple guys trying radials, maybe we're in our 7th. I was talking to a couple of manufacturers this week. Fuel injection, the same deal. Everybody says, wow, we've been in a fuel injection for the last 7 to 10 years. Well, the race teams in Canada are still mostly dominated by carburetor setups. So all that progression tends to follow you guys back a good 5 to 7 years, and that goes right across the board with everything. That goes across the boards from the amount of horsepower making the style of track prep. So yeah, there's definitely there's definitely that difference. And then we also have to deal with we don't have the large centers that you guys in America have. Like when we talk about Buffalo Street Outlaws and Empire Outlaws, those guys are like an hour and a half away from each other. And if you go down the road a little ways, you've got the Ohio group, the small tire shootout from that whole Ohio small tire shootout group. Like, that's only another hour and a half down the road. And we're lucky here. I'm kind of local to Niagara Falls and south of Toronto, where within 3 hours we have 3 tracks. But as soon as you go outside of that, you're getting into like a 6-hour drive, a 9.5-hour drive. And outside of that, you're going 14 hours. So once again, those of us that are close to the border, we're lucky to be able to jump over. But that's where you get, like you said, we got some killer drivers up here, some killer teams. Nick Agostino won the first Pro 275 after the major rule change down there at the U.S. Streetcar Nationals, right? And we have a number of guys, right? Enzo Pacini's been a standout name from up here. He's been down at Ducks Race for a number of years in a row now. I could rattle off half a dozen to a dozen names Team 68, Jerry Mitrovic, and his partner Phil now, there's a group that dominated the nitrous scene as those Outlaw 10-5 guys were just knocking on the 399 door. I think Jerry was either the first or the second guy into the threes. And then, they had a bad crash and had to do some updates to the car. But, those were awesome times to watch. So we do definitely have some amazing teams up here. And maybe we're lucky that we have the winter. It gives us time to do some major updates on the car that maybe guys in the South don't have that time to focus on, major updates. But, all in all, we'd like it a little warmer.
For sure. So Mad Bro Motorsports chimes in, and you did mention where you're located, south of Toronto, that Ontario area. But specifically, what are those 3 tracks in your hub? And speak to me about, Western Canada. What does that look like with drag racing? And is there ever an attempt, hopefully in the future, kind of bridge that gap, as wide as it may be?
Well, absolutely. So, just to talk about the racetrack. So we have Toronto Motorsport Park, which is the old Cayuga dragway from back in the day. The next one, about 2.5 hours away from us, like here, local to Niagara Falls, is St. Thomas Dragway, which is the old London Motorsport Park. And then basically about an hour and a half north of that, so about 3 hours from us here, is Grand Bend Motorplex. Some of these, I'd hope that some of these tracks have a little bit of notoriety, even in the U.S. Going back in the day, Toronto Motorsport Park, when it was Cayuga, they had NHRA national events. We have videos and pictures that we all very much cherish of the old, pro mod shootouts, going back even further. Grumpy Jenkins in pro stock, and the list just goes on. In the IHRA days, natural events, Grand Bend Motorplex really made a name for themselves. I believe Toronto Motorsport Park also had a few years there of an IHRA national event. So those were in the heydays of pro mod and alcohol, funny car, stuff like that. London Dragway, which is now St. Thomas Dragway Park. St. Thomas Dragway. That's known up here for being, a long-standing NHRA track where I believe the first 200-mile-an-hour pass in a door car in Canada happened. There was pro stock racing there, pro mod racing there for years and years. So, yeah, and then. As far as other things in Canada, I'm just going to touch base before we talk about going left to right, east to west. And I'm sure this is arguably a topic that will go down in history as who started what. But, back in the late 90s and early 2000s when IHRA was doing their Quick 8 shootout for top sportsmen, on the Friday night qualifier, the Saturday morning qualifier to try and get into the Quick 8 deal on Saturday night. That was the starting of what we know now as Pro Mod. And, that was pretty much filled with a ton of Canadians, as well as Mike Janis and Queen Stott and, Freddie Hahn, Jim Oddie. But, there was a good 6 to 8 Canadians in that top sportsman show. Joe Bonifero, Casey Jansen, Carl Spearing, all these guys cut their teeth there, eh? And that really brought home a local pro mod show out of Toronto Motorsport Park. Neil Armstrong, the track manager, longtime track manager, basically headed that. And really made a go of it for a good 15 years. And I think that's really what spawned Pro Mod in general. It really grew from there. And the whole East Coast and South grabbed that and just ran with it. It's just an amazing history that I truly believe Canada had a big part of. Just talking about, West Coast stuff, we were lucky enough to meet Manitoba Pete. He's out of the next province to our west. I don't know much about what goes on in Manitoba. There's not a lot of promotion there, but Edmonton area, when the IHRA was hot and heavy in their national event program, Edmonton had a national event, so they got a ton of press. And ever since then, they've had a really strong pro mod, top sportsman base. I'm sure, obviously, they have a ton of bracket racing. We don't hear a lot about small tire shootout stuff, but being Canadian and waving the Canadian flag when we go down to Ducks Lights Out race, I do know that there's at least one team that comes down from I think the Edmonton area. There's more tracks in BC as well, opposite side of the Rockies. There's at least one track out there. Very popular, same thing, fast door cars, alcohol, funny cars out that end. And once again, as far as the small tire shootout stuff, we just don't hear about it out there. Moving on to the East Coast, there's a couple of tracks out there, Miramichi, kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and then drive another 9 or 10 hours to get there. But just making fun of my East Coast friends. Anyway, they got a good program going out there. They were really affected hard by COVID. So I know they didn't open up in 2020, and I really wish them well for 2021, because it sure is tough when you're that far east and that far north. You don't have a long season as it is, and when you're affected by a pandemic like this and make the decision to not even open, I tell you, that's definitely a tough one.
Sure is. Glad that y'all were able to have the good season that you did have in 2020. Mad Bro Motorsports, my co-host on the Competition Plus Power Hour, Slammin' Sam, he's like, hey, y'all need to come down to North Dakota. I think he's in Minot, North Dakota, I think he is. So go down there to the drag strip there in Minot, work something out. Maybe that's a little bit more of those central Canadian guys than y'all around Ontario. I mean, maybe Detroit makes a shortcut. I don't know, but never got through that route. Sure. But, well, let me ask this, Ian. I imagine I sent an email out in the morning. I'm not sure when you got to it. And I hadn't even really told this to a lot of my fans and who follow the channel, but I was able to meet you at Lancaster Dragway for Unfinished Business for that drag racing event. Good day of drag racing. And that video is on my channel. And you got an email from me explaining that Discovery Channel had struck down my video. I've got to ask, what did you think about that? What was your response when you're like, oh, Discovery Channel is taking this dude's video down?
I read that and I laughed. Everybody thinks we're street outlaws, right? I mean, they're the only ones that are on TV, so everybody must be copying. I don't know. So there is an Ontario Street Outlaws, and they follow more of what you see on TV. I don't watch TV. I got a lot of toys out in the garage, and I've been racing since I was 17, and bracket race, top sportsman raced. I've won some big races. I've won some track championships, and I got into small tire shootout, and I just love it. And now with this class racing deal, it's the same thing. So through all this promotion and growth, we've been picked up. So we've been picked up and noticed, and Lancaster Dragway called us up, and the new owners there were great to work with. We brought our Canada Heads Up, or a combination of Canada Heads Up and Ontario Grudge Wars to Lancaster a couple years ago, and couldn't quite call anything Canada Heads Up or Ontario Grudge Wars and expected to go off. So we came up with the name Unfinished Business, and it really went over well. Was totally well received by those racers and the track owners. And to meet you there was a blast, and to see your video and all this, and then all of a sudden seeing your email come in and it's like, Discovery Channel has blocked this. I'm like, well, at least somebody's noticing us.
Man, it was a shock to me, and it didn't happen once. They hit it again, and I was able to get it resolved much sooner. But yeah, Discovery Channel, as I like to say, Monday Morning Racer 2, and Discovery Channel 0, goose egg.
Exactly.
They have lost on both times. Hey, Quayne Stott, he chimes in. We're going to have one of his guys later on. I did a lot of drag racing in Canada. Edmonton was 42 hours one way for him out of the Carolinas. Wow, that's a ride.
Yeah,
that is a ride.
Cool. That's cool. So back in like 99 through 2004 or 5, I was on Joe Bonifero's Pro Mod team, and there's no way that Quayne Stott would remember me, but maybe he remembers Joe Bonifero, and I remember meeting him, and I still have the hero cards on the wall of my garage from both brothers back in the day. So how's it going, Quayne?
Very cool, very cool. And look, I'm familiar. I have not been to Cayuga, Toronto Motorsports Park, but someone that I work for now, Doug Foley, he's definitely very familiar with that place. He had a nasty Top Fuel crash there that it's maybe most well known for over there through YouTube. I mean, it was terrible. It was bad, but great facility. Another group I work with, the Leverage Gang, they love to go up there and whack the throttle every now and then for the Canadians. Well, with 2021, you've got a lot of events. You're doing a lot of things. How can people follow and keep up with everything that is going on with Ian Hill Racing Promotions? So I know that there's Pro Tree Videos. Used to be Goodloof? Is that how he pronounced it? Videos? I know he.
Yeah, it used to be GuelphRacing.com. So
all right, there you go. I know he does a lot, does a great job. And what are the handles that people can go follow on social media and keep up with everything?
I gotcha. And this is a great topic to touch on. So first off, on Facebook, you wanna check out CanadaHeadsUp.com. Canada Heads Up Facebook page. We also have Ontario Grudge Wars on Facebook. You can punch in IanHillRacing.com. That'll take you to an Ontario Grudge Wars based website, at which we link out to the Canada Heads Up series information and the SmackDown information. And that's something I wanted to touch base on, and I'm so happy to see when I started following you the service that you use for these interviews. A lot of people say, first off, yeah, you got a lot going on, and how do you do this? Well, I'll tell you one thing: it grows itself if you're excited about what you're doing, and the end product is drag racing in itself. Promotion for promotional reasons, I guess, is a good way to put it. And when we're asking for sponsorship, we're not asking for money. I'm a business guy. I own 2 businesses. The racing promotion we stepped into that because I didn't want to see it die locally. And I only know how to do things one way. It's 130% and all in at all times. Work 12 hours a day, 12 hours a day at work, come home, have dinner, put the girls to bed, and out in the garage until 11:30, 12 o'clock every night working on the race program. So, with all this in mind, it's the promotion behind, it's the return on investment that you give to your sponsors. It's things like putting these interviews together, and all you can do on social media to get the free advertising, right? Like anyone else, I've paid for Facebook ads, I've paid for Google ads, I've paid for advertising, I've paid for printed media advertising and digital. But it's when you can get those free shares, those free likes, and you started your interview off saying that, and for everybody who's watching, you don't understand how important that is to the bigger picture. So when someone asks you to like and share something, don't nod it off at all. I'm telling you right now, the growth is exponential. Go back 6 months, our Canada Heads Up reach, I was over the moon when we hit 2,500 in the last 28 days when we had 3 new likes on our page in the last 28 days. And now that 2020 is here and sponsorship has started to be confirmed for the year and the rule book is done, we've started to promote ourselves by putting out these these locked in flyers. It gives all of our racers a chance, gives her 2 seconds of fame. We do a little bit of blurb about most of the racers, and just reminding everybody that it's not all about the Pro 10-5 guy. Exactly. It's about Easy Street. It's about the index classes. This is about the junior dragsters. I looked this afternoon because I thought you might bring it up. And in 6 months, we've gone from a reach of 2,500 to, I think I saw today, like 13,800 people in the last 28 days. Our new page likes are over 90. These are fantastic numbers, and they're only coming from people liking and sharing. So I can't say enough. I'm lucky that my racers understand that, we're a small group, but we can do things together. I'm gonna, no shame in advertising. I hope I'm not going to get in trouble in here, but I've been lucky enough to partner with RPM Magazine for a number of years. Last year, we brought on Maxima Racing Oil, RM Racing Lubricants. We've been partnering with Joe Van O, lightweight race panels for a few years, Speedwire for a few years. 2 years ago, we brought in Bullseye Power turbochargers. Like, these are some great industry names. And believe me, I go on for half an hour and mention all the little, I won't say little, the smaller local racing-oriented companies, or the companies that our racers own or work for. And when we bring in RPM Magazine to an event as a vendor booth, and they come back and say, guys, just want to get back to you and say that we sold the most subscriptions ever at an event at one of your events. When Maxima Racing Oil can come back and say, guys, we had the highest increase in sales in a closed area, in a focused area, than we've ever done before. When Bullseye Power turbochargers can come back and say, as a sales outlet, you guys as a group have helped us, grow. That's an amazing thing. And it all has to do with social media. It all has to do with the return on investment that we give back to our supporters, marketing partners, and guys like you. And everyone who's watching, you have to like it. You have to share it, because the more that you do, the more growth between the Slicks will have, between Canada Heads will have, and from growth and advertising, that's how the series grows. And that's where I get my excitement. That's where I get my, go.
Well, man, look, thank you for sharing that and cluing us in that things are trending upwards and doing so well, and that, hey, racing can have a business and financial kickback for people who are involved. I think the racing community really is great about making sure that they stay within the boundaries of those who do support racing, and you're seeing that and you're experiencing that. So, Ian, last question very quickly for me. Beyond 2021, like, what is the dream, man? What's the highest peak for Ian Heel Racing Productions to have out there and going on? Is it, Canadian Top Fuel match racing or what? I don't know. What is it, man? What's the top of the mountain?
We almost had it this year. I want Pro Mods. Pro Mods want to be involved in our series. We spent... Personally, I spent a little bit of money, and I sent one of the local track prep guys down to Ducks Race a few years ago just to witness what goes on. It was, off season for us, and I'll tell you, that investment came back tenfold. The tracks are cleaner now. People are understanding just what's going on outside our area, and all these groups are seeing the type of surface that we're offering. And I always say, you can do everything else wrong, but if you give every drag racer the ultimate traction, they're going to go home with smiles on their face, right? So that's what we've been focusing on. We make sure that we rent the track on Fridays before every event. Not only does it give our racers a chance to do testing before the event, but it really helps set the stage for Saturday qualifying surface. And on our big race, actually, we started this past year. We rented the track Thursday and Friday because we really wanted to show off the ability of having, very close to what we consider a radio prep track. And because of this, there's more and more and more groups that are noticing, and word's getting out. And the greatest for me will be when we can add Pro Mod to our series and just go down from the baddest ass door slammer class on the planet down to junior dragsters. That'll be pretty impressive.
All right, man. That sounds like a great plan. Hey, by the way, give Quayne Stott a call. He's like, look, he's in the promoting business. You're in the promoting business. Give him a call. Compare notes, as he's saying there on the screen. He's got something pretty successful going on, the Southeast Gasser Association. So, Ian, look, man, thank you for being on the show. Thank you for help making Between the Slicks continue to be the most diverse drag racing talk show out there. Have you, sir, a good night.
And you take care. Thanks for inviting me.
Appreciate it, man. Folks, Ian Hill out of the great north there in Canada, dropping some 411 on us on what is happening in those neck of the woods in the world of drag racing. After this very next break from, well, we're going to give Power Built Tools some time, some love. Remember, folks, promo code MMR15, and you can get 15% off Power Built Tools. Just the same quality as Snap-on. In fact, Power Built at one time made Snap-on. So spend a little less, but get the same quality. And right after this break, it's Miller time. I'm not cracking a beer. No, we're going to have George Miller on, the Seagas champion for the Southeast Gasser Association. Power Built Tools exemplifies innovation in the tool industry. From hand tools, power tools, and even tool storage. Check out powerbuilt.com for Power Built Tools. And remember, use promo code MMR15 for 15% off at purchase. Mr. Miller, how are you doing tonight?
Good. How are you, Lee?
Man, I am doing spectacular. Being on here talking drag racing, nothing better than that. The champ is here for Seagas, that Falcon crazy car. Look, you've got that beautiful machine there in the background. Let's start there. Talk to me about the history of that car from where you got it to where it is now. And I'm going to bring some photos as we talk on the way.
Well, it's been, 2-3 years ago. We went and watched the Southeast Gassers, and they come up to our home track here in Lyons, Indiana. And Dad was pretty well set from that moment forward that we were going to get into it. And we talked to Sam Jones there that day, and he said he'd put us together an engine package. And shortly after that, we started looking in the auto traders, and we were kind of looking for a Mustang, but we found this, and then the price was right. We drove up to Alexandria, Indiana, and picked it up. And it was an older couple that had it, and they had it like a toy dragster, basically, just fake components all over it. And so we got it home and started stripping paint off of it. I'd say there was 20 layers of paint on that thing. There was paint everywhere. But we got it all down and got it to the body man and got it painted up, and we got Mark Wills and Chuck Garrett. They built the frame for us and put the shell on it. And yeah, that's been that. The people that we bought it from actually come up to one of our races and brought us the spare key for the trunk. So we've got it hung in the car for good luck. We kind of call that our good luck charm there. But the car's it's a solid car, and we're very proud of all the work that we put into it and what it's been able to do for us so far.
Yeah, so far, a championship. That's pretty good, man. That's not bad at all.
Yeah, it's our first full year in the organization. Last last or 2019 would have been my rookie season. I think we made 6 of the races, but I think we got our name out there the first year, and really were able to pull it out this year.
Definitely so. And look, dive into 2020, running for the championship and grabbing it, being the 2020 champion. You know, what did it take? What was it like? What were the hardships? What were the high moments other than winning itself?
Oh, we had several hardships, that's for sure. None of it was easy. The competition in the Southeast Gassers in every class is as stiff as any competition you'll see. We had going into the year, we still hadn't had the car completely figured out. You know, not much testing up here up until it's race season, so we don't really get to test much during the winter. So getting the car to hook up was definitely our first priority in the year, and we fought it for the first couple races, but still managed to pull, you know, 2 or 3 rounds and, you know, get the points for that. Then we really started to come alive there halfway through the season, and things were really looking good. And then I think it was Mooresville. The car, we got it to hook good, but it was driving off the rear tires, and it pulled me left, pulled me right. We should have went to the finals and got put out by Cynthia Phillips, who is very impressive as a driver. And then we had some motor problems at Aiken. I think we had a header cracked. We found that. We heard it making funny noises. Could not figure out what it was. We finally found it. Me and my brother took the car up. I had the hood on, and they on top of the car, and they told us we could use the welder under the tower to get it fixed up before the next round, so we could run. So me and my brother Keith, we was rushing up there and didn't bother to put the hood on. I was coming past Todd Oden's trailer, and the hood slid off, and there's a big dent. You can kind of see it back there, other side, I guess. But so we got it up there, forgot about the hood, just let it go. We were in a rush. And I started welding on the header. Well, somehow there was all kinds of oil in the oil pan or in the diaper. When I was welding, one of the beads had fallen down and caught the entire diaper on fire. The whole underside of the car was on fire. So I would run out to the side of the track and grab that fire extinguisher out of the back of the truck at the track. We got it put out, got it welded. And this was all within 15 minutes to get it back and ready to run the next round. Well, I was running Ernie Smith, and I got up there. We got up to line, and just like normal, shifted through first, second, and when I shifted into third gear, the whole thing just shut off. We had stretched a rod, and it broke the rod. So we broke our good motor, I think, 2 or 3 races before the end of the season. We had a pretty good points lead, so that scared us. Then we went on to Shadyside, I believe, with our backup motor that Jimmy Huff had built for us, and we didn't really have much time to test it. We took it out on the street and just took it down the road. Everything felt good out there, but when we drove 9-10 hours to Shadyside and got it out there and put it under a load, and it just wouldn't do anything. So luckily enough for us, Jimmy Huff let us drive his car for that event just to get our points, and we got it back home and we put our good carburetors on our backup motor and was able to take it out for the finals in Florida. So that was definitely good to see, get our car back out on the track for the finals. I'd say another thing is I feel like they try to get in my head at the line always, and that's one. I'd say that would be a hardship, kind of. They're always trying to get you on the line, but I just focus, do my thing up there, get what I can done, get out there and win rounds. That's all you can do, right?
Wow, man, that was a challenging 2020. That was
it's
a easy float it, do it, win it deal. That was pretty challenging.
Not at all. Oh yeah, and the miles we got to drive. We're based out of Southern Indiana. I'm not gonna say we don't have close races. We definitely get lucky. The Ohio race, the Ohio Nationals, was one of them that we won. It was only 4 hours, and then we have lines. But a lot of these tracks, we're 10 hours from home, and if something happens, we're just kind of out of luck. So it's good to have the support from all the Southeast Gasser guys. It's just a gigantic family, and they would do any of them would do anything for everybody. So it's really an awesome group, and we're beyond happy with being a part of it, and we can't wait to see what next season brings. I know the competition is going to be tough, but we're making some changes in here, and hopefully going to be back stronger than we were last year for sure.
Right, man. Look, I was looking back through the footage because I was at Shadyside. I filmed it there, and I'm like, where is this car? I don't see it. And now I understand what happened.
Yeah, we had it in the trailer.
Right. So explain to everybody, what car you were in, describe it. So if they see it on the Monday Morning Racer YouTube channel, they'll know what you're in. And what was it like hopping into another car?
It's a Ford Falcon. It's a wagon though. I think it's a 63 or 64, but so it's a big old car compared to this. But it's black. It's hoopty wagon. Yeah. So Jimmy, he built our backup motor, so he was more than glad to let us use his car. It was definitely a little weird getting in somebody else's car to drive, but I tell you, I was honestly sitting wise in the seat more comfortable in his car than I was mine. We kind of got ours cramped, and that's one of the things we're changing this year. But it was definitely, I learned some things that we could change on our clutch to make it better. I was cutting an 02 light or an 03 light with his car, and we were struggling to get ours, below 0.1. So it's definitely learned some things for sure. It was a great experience, and I can't thank Jimmy enough for letting us borrow his car for that. That's just tells you what kind of people that the Southeast Gassers really are.
Yeah, man, that's the cool deal that a fellow competitor would say, hey, I want you to stay in the game. You've got a shot. I mean, that's some old school drag racing competitiveness happening right
Absolutely.
there. For the sake of racing, racers helping out other racers. And interesting that you're able to find out, hey, we got some things to change to our car because of what we did learn. Yeah. And with the rule changes, sure. I've asked this to the last several Sega individuals I've had on. I've got to ask, were you a shift light guy?
Yeah, we had one. I never really did find much use for it. There's too much going on to really pay attention to anything other than what you're supposed to be doing. So I would say I used it at first more than anything, but now it's more of a seat of the pants thing. You know when to shift it. It'll tell you when to shift it. You can definitely feel the car drop off at its high or at the RPMs. So, it's not that big of a deal to me. I think we'll be able to adjust just fine.
All right, no big deal at all. So Falcon Crazy, you go with that name. I'm sure y'all thought of many other names. So talk to me about the process of branding that Falcon. Well, Falcon Crazy.
Well, I wasn't actually along for the trip to get the car. I don't remember what I had going on, but I'm pretty sure that my dad and my brothers concocted that on the way home, and it stuck with me when they got home with it. And it's funny, it's kind of a play on words there, but it was probably 3 months after we had it all settled. And that's what we're naming it. I was sitting in the garage looking at a picture of that bird and the name around it. I was like, I finally get it. Yeah, Falcon Crazy. And then my cousin Adam Miller, he drew up the bird for us and got us some stencils, and we went from there. We've got shirts and hats and whole 9 yards with our big old crazy bird on it. And then when we were getting it hand lettered, I had the idea to put a falcon right there in the front of the hood scoop with it looking like its feathers were getting sucked into the hood scoop. So that was my idea. But so Sam Jones, our engine builder, they run Seagas as well. And he always likes to tease me and tell them that they're coming to pluck the feathers out of this falcon.
Well, you got a good looking car and you got a great thing going on there. And you mentioned, the merch and things that people can go buy. So yeah, talk to me. Where can people follow you, the team, and keep a close eye on Falcon Crazy?
Facebook. We have a Facebook page. It's the Sega Falcon Crazy Gasser page. And then just my Instagram is my name on here, MillerTime6095. So you can get on there and follow anything you'd want to purchase or anything our Facebook page. Just message the Sega Falcon Crazy Gassers, somebody will get back with you pretty soon.
All right, well, folks, make sure to go by, give a like, and give a follow. So, man, look, you got a Ford Falcon, and we live in a day and time. Everybody's like, all right, is there actually a Ford in there? So, what's in there? Again, who built it, and any plans of, well, going beyond C-Gas and taking that car a little faster?
So Sam Jones, he used to run Sam Jones Engineering. Now his son and Chris Grace, they run One Way Technologies in Washington, Indiana. And they build motors for just about everything, but sprint cars, NASCAR trucks, all kinds. I mean, just about anything. So he's always been a friend of the family, and we talked to him, and he's been a Chevy builder all his life, built nothing but Chevys. And we went down to the shop and asked him if he would do a Ford for us, and he said, yeah, he would do it. He was, how old was he?
80.
He was 80 years old probably when we asked him, and had never built a Ford in his life. So he got started on it. We got the aftermarket World Products block, and it's a 302, or it was a 302 until I made a boo-boo. But it was a 302 Ford all the way, all through last year, and Sam really knocked it out of the park. The first year, we could tell that the motor was strong, and he basically told us that he had training wheels on it our whole first year. And then last winter, we took it down there, and they did their magic on it, and it was definitely a motor to be reckoned with this season. And we're hoping, we're getting it redone. We had to bore it out and put a cylinder in it because of the rod, but they're coming along with that and doing a little bit of head work and intake work. So we've got some stuff to make improvements for next year. We'll have a little more cubic inch, not much, but a little bit. Every little bit helps. So hopefully get some more horsepower out there. And I definitely think maybe, depending on how this year goes, we may try to lighten the car up and try to jump up to B-gas. Just have to see what the motor combination and weight we'll come up with the car. We're kind of heavy, just being with all the weight breaks we had last year, but they're taking some of those away this year. So really the car will be perfect for where it's at in C-Gas, but we can put fiberglass front end and hood on it, and probably do Lexan. When we've got Lexan side windows, we'd have to do front and back glass, but I think we could probably get the car to do B-gas. And I think we'd definitely be pretty competitive in B-gas if we could go that way, get the weight off of it. I think that the motor would perform well in B-gas as well.
Hey, man, if I got weight off me, I'd perform competitively. So I understand. I definitely understand there. Whether you make that move or not, I know you definitely be a threat again in C-Gas competition. And look, I had an individual comment on my video from Shelby that, I think that there's no lights at the end of the track other than the wind light, and this is supposed to be for fun, and you got people spending a lot of money on their programs and things of that nature. But some of the inside information I got is, well, you're no wealthy man yourself, and your family isn't wealthy, but you're going out there and racing at a fairly far distance, and you're winning a championship. So talk to me about the team dynamic and competing in the Southeast Gasser Association.
I'll tell you right now that without the team that we have, that none of this would be possible at all. My brothers, Nolan and Keith, and my dad, Kurt, and my mom, Lisa, my girlfriend, Paige, everybody, all my friends, you can ask anybody who brings the most people to a race, and it's almost always us. We always have a crew with us, and that's what makes it. That's what we love so much about it is we get to take people, and we always have people willing to help, and we always make room. We have people. We got a fifth wheel trailer with a camper on it that we were fortunate enough to find, and we had people ride in the fifth wheel in the camper just to come along. They love the atmosphere. And yeah, you know, that's the thing is people like to throw that out there that, oh, you got to have money to run with them guys, but we're working out of a 40-foot garage that we don't have a lift. We don't have any of the stuff that would make all this a lot easier, but we do what we can. You know, me and my brothers, all three work, and my dad just retired at 70 years old just a couple months ago. And, you know, he drove a truck all his life and had kind of retired and bought a dually pickup and hauled cabinets for Amish people. And that's what funded all of this, you know. And now, you know, mom throws in and helps just because she loves to see her kids and her husband and our family doing this. So that's definitely the biggest thing. And for, you know, when people like to say that kind of stuff, I just kind of throw it over my shoulder. They don't know. That's what is the best thing about it is we're not some big money operation, and we were able to make ends meet and make, you know, I got to thank my job for all the time off. You know, I got to take off Fridays, sometimes Thursdays to get everything ready and get down to the track. Cause like you said, we're a good ways from most of them. So huge shout out to J&R Tool. Them guys are great. It's just, you know, we all work. We have 5-day work weeks, and we work our hours and come play on the weekends and our afternoons on the car, and that's our hobby. You know, that's what we decided to do. And we're, you know, at first it kind of their heads bumped and things didn't work out exactly like everybody thought, and it ended up being a great thing, and we're all gotten a lot closer, and we're all a lot better with each other now. And I thank it all to this racing organization and the Southeast Gassers. It's great.
Man, look, wonderful story there of even the family coming closer together. But yeah, doing it on, you know, not a whole lot and winning. I mean, that's got to feel great. It definitely has to feel great.
It's great.
And
it is a great feeling.
You know, a Yankee whooping up on these Southern boys. You know, I mean, I gotta play that up all day long. It's the Southeast Gassers Association, and these guys out of Ohio and Indiana are doing something. It's pretty cool to see, and it's great to see the reach that the organization has had. Got to say thank you to Dakota Woodard 130, $1 super chat. Appreciate that, man. George, 2021, the schedule's out. Another championship. What do you think of the schedule? What do you think your odds are?
I mean, we've definitely got some more close races this year, and some of the good tracks, or some of the, I can't say good tracks, they're all good, but some of the tracks I personally were my favorites. We're going back to. So yeah, we're going back to Lassiter Mountain. That's one I'd like to throw out there, and Ohio. I won both of those races. So those were both tracks that I performed well at. So yeah, we're definitely, we've got to go for it. You can't come off a championship and just give up. So that's been our motto all along. If we were able to do this, we were going to keep going until we couldn't. So that 2021, I think there's a shot. I will say that the competition's stiff enough that being in 11 races, you're not going to be able to miss any. So that's going to be our big thing is getting me for sure at all the races. That we've got some scheduling to do to get figured out who's going to go and win, but definitely I'm going to have to be at all of them. That's kind of the big thing there if I'm going to be the driver again. So yeah, I think we're definitely going to go for it. We're going to definitely go out the first part of the season strong and do what we can, give it our all, and see what comes of it. Hopefully we can pull it off through the whole season and win another championship. It really would be awesome to see that.
All right, yes, watch out. The champ plans to come out crazy and swinging in the Falcon Crazy. Well, man, look, beginning to wind down the show, I do got to ask, what is your racing background? You're a young man. I mean, was it junior dragsters moving into what you're in now? Was it some other form of competition, or is it starting with the Southeast Gassers?
I'll tell you, when I was young, I mean, I've always been a big racing fan. That's what, you know, it's funny. I used to always say, people to ask what I wanted to be when I grew up. I always wanted to be a race car driver. But so my family raced go-karts just in our backyard, basically. I mean, we had good crowds show up, but it was never anything real professional. So other than that, 2019 was my first time ever in a drag car. So there was a learning curve, but I had it. I gave the car a good run the first time I took it out. The very first time, they were all kind of impressed. So I got designated to drive for the first race, and just the way things ended up falling, my brothers couldn't make it. Or the plan originally was to just switch drivers there that first year, but it didn't end up working that way. People had conflicting schedules, so they couldn't necessarily come to the race they were supposed to drive, whatever. So the first couple of races I drove, we ended up doing pretty good in all those. So we kind of went forward the first season there, just not knowing any better. And we had engine problems, but yeah, that was my rookie year last year, and the first time in a drag car. So it's crazy to see that we come that far in just a year, and we're able to win the championship.
Wow. Not only is he from the north, but he hasn't been in a car very long. Man, I bet everybody out there is like, what gives? My goodness.
Yeah, I could think so.
Yeah, I like to think so. Well, we got one interesting. I'll bring this comment up. Dana and Diana Casto. Did you ever feel at least bit bad about putting me on the trailer first round? Any remorse there?
Oh yeah, definitely, because it never failed that the first round of competition was me and them. So yeah, I would say after the second time, I personally started feeling bad. So it's the luck of the draw, I know, but it sucks. I love to see, it's just like us our first year. I hated to get put out the first round. It's especially, that when you're driving, and them guys have to drive too. Everybody has to drive. When you're driving that far and get put out in the first round, it sucks, but sorry.
Yeah, it's kind of like one of those deals. Like, I hope you don't wreck, but I want to win.
Yeah.
It's one of those deals.
Like a lot of them say, we're all buddies until we pull up to the lines.
Right.
Not really thinking about it when you're up there.
You just better be glad it's not circle track racing. You might end up in the wall. So, last question for you. We're going to let you have the floor, and I just want you to say thank you to everyone that you need to say thank you to, man.
All right. Well, I've got to start out by thanking God. Without him, none of this would be possible. My dad, my brothers, Keith and Nolan, Kurt, my mom for sure. She's been supporting us all along and just pushing us to do better. And my lovely girlfriend Paige, she backs me up now, and love to have her out there in front of the car, keeping me in the groove. I got to thank Sam and Jeff Jones for all the work they've done on the motor and all the tips and tricks they've gave me. Chuck, Garrett, and Mark Wills for building the car. All my friends, Eric Stutzman. He's always in here all the time, working on the car. I got to thank Wagler's Performance for sponsorship. They give us fuel. He owns the Lions track, so it's good. He lets us up there on the track when we need to test. Now I got to thank him. Got to thank Ford for wonderful parts. And I got to thank everybody in the Southeast Gassers Association for everything that they do for us and for putting on the show. Especially thanks to Quayne for accepting us and putting on a show everywhere we go. That's a big help. Big help.
George, man, thank you for being on Between the Slicks. Been great to talk with you, and man, hope you have great success here in 2021, and maybe we'll be talking to you once again after a few event wins and another championship. I hope that's the case, man.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to shoot for that, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, and have a good night.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Folks, that was George Miller, the Seagas champion for the Southeast Gasser Association. Well, look, we're going to shut this down. I think we're getting it stopped before the sand pit this time, and I'm going to be able to exit the car safely. Nothing is amiss. Let me bring up one question before we go. Dakota, let me answer this question for you. He's asking, where can you find a fire suit, dirt track racing? I highly recommend, man, reach out to my co-host of the Competition Plus Power Hour, Slammin' Sam, at Mad Bro Motorsports. Mad Bro Motorsports. He might be able to help you out with some safety items. He does deal with dirt track racers in North Dakota. Check him out, Mad Bro Motorsports. Everyone saying that this was a great show. Dale, Scott, I appreciate it. My guests were Ian Hill with the Canada Heads Up Shootout Series. Go check them out. That was George Miller, the Seagas champion for the Southeast Gasser Association. Just search Falcon Crazy Sega on Facebook or reverse that. You'll find him. Follow him. A lot of good things going on there. Folks, until next time, be sure to like the Facebook page, follow on Twitter, subscribe on YouTube, all the Monday Morning Racer. Until next time, God bless and keep the pedal to the metal.